Hi, this is CK of CK Education. Today I want to talk about change. I made a video many weeks ago, I think, about this book called Who Moved My Cheese. It's by Spencer Johnson, and it talks about the very real reality of constant change in our lives. And that's a clever book that uses a very short book. I recommend that you read it if you haven't. People apply it to all kinds of things, but it really does apply to life. And right now with the pandemic and our society has changed a lot. I see people who have been affected by this, but are not willing to change. This is such an important thing. Something like this, like the pandemic, it has fundamentally changed our society in many ways, I think. But a lot of people act like, well, you know, it'll just go back to normal soon. I hope it just goes back to normal. And they're just waiting. Like, they're just in freeze mode. They're not doing anything to adjust. They're not learning anything new. They're not learning different things. They're not thinking about how I need to react to this. They're not thinking about how I need to adjust to this. What new things must I learn? What new roads should I take? What new paths should I discover? And they're not really shifting their mentality. They're not doing anything different. They're just hoping that the old days will come back. Just the days before the pandemic, I hope that those days come back, and I'm just waiting for those days. Here's the thing. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it won't. And you got to prepare for both. If it doesn't, then you still have to be prepared for that. If it doesn't come back like that, and this is a new normal. Now, it may not be exactly like this forever, and it will constantly shift and adjust. You're going to see it pull back, and you're going to see restrictions go, there's going to be more restrictions. There might be less. It might go back and forth, and there's a lot of things that will change. Industries will change. Businesses will close. New businesses will be created. But what are you doing in this midst? If you are laid off, if you have things that you've been affected negatively by this, it's certainly something that, you gotta sort of, you can't just blame society. Why did this happen to me? And feel sorry for ourselves. We got to get up and we got to adjust and we got to learn new things and we got to pick ourselves back up and we got to go find our, quote, new stash of cheese, like it says in the book. This is so important. You've got to constantly adjust. A constant in our life is change. Some people have said that the only constant in life is change. Change will happen, whether you want it or not, whether you invite it or not, whether you like it or not, change will happen. The only question is, what will you do in the face of constant change? It will constantly change. And there are a lot of people who don't want to change. Some people are very afraid of change. Some people are just, I don't want to learn new things. I don't want things to be different. I understand. We don't want it. It's not a matter of whether we want it or not, whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not. Sometimes it happens. And when it happens, we have no choice. If we want to improve, if we want to get better, if we don't want to get stuck in the old mold, when there's a new paradigm, we have to change, we have to adjust, we have to learn, we have to open our eyes, our minds, we have to go outside of our box and discover new things, learn new things. And whether it's a business, whatever the thing is, I found it very interesting that there was a city that went through years ago. There was a city and there was a big flood and it just demolished a lot of businesses. And I was very surprised that some of those same businesses went right back to business after the flood. Now, if it were me, I wouldn't have done that. If a big flood came through and destroyed the buildings and it caused a catastrophe there, I would not have opened up in the same location because the same thing will probably happen at some point. On the other hand, there is here in Maryland, Annapolis is the capital of Maryland, and in Annapolis, if you go to the city dock there used to be a Starbucks store, and years ago, because of a storm and because of very heavy rains, the whole area there, the city dock, it flooded. And it was like 2 feet above street level. I mean, it was just water. It flooded all the businesses, and Starbucks was affected. It was one of those shops there, one of those businesses that was affected. And So what did they do? Right now, you're not going to find a Starbucks there. They moved to a different location that's much higher elevation, not that far. You can walk there from the old location to the new location. It's probably a 5-minute walk, but it's a much higher elevation. And at that elevation, you're not at risk of any floodwaters. See, they did the smart thing. They moved to a higher elevation. They completely renovated the inside. It looks great. It's wonderful. I went there, a couple years ago. And it's a great Starbucks store, coffee shop, and it's completely renovated, different location, different elevation, so that they don't encounter the same catastrophe that they once encountered. And this is what a lot of people don't do. Something happens, a pandemic happens that affects their business, affects their work, affects whatever, and then they just, rather than changing and adapting and improving and learning, they're just, well, I hope it never happens again. I hope we just go back to normal. I can't wait until we go back to normal. And they're just stuck in the old, pre-pandemic. When is it going to be like that? What if it's not like, what if it does do that, but what if it takes 3 years? What if it takes 5 years? What will you do for those 5 years? And this is such an important thing. And whether you're a student, whether you're a professional, whether you're retired, whatever the situation is, change will come into our lives constantly. We constantly have to adjust. We constantly have to learn. We constantly have to improve in order for us to better meet the challenges that we face along the way. So I hope you'll open up your mind. I hope you'll open up your heart. I hope you go outside of the box. And going outside the box is sometimes uncomfortable. It is not convenient. But if we do it, we will discover new things. We will find new things. We will learn new things. We will find new successes, new ways of doing things, and things that we never even thought that we could do because of the changes that we adjust to. So I hope you'll adjust and not just hope that someday, soon, it'll just go back to like it always was. That may not happen anytime soon. So adjust, improve, learn, reflect, go outside of your box, and that's going to help you live a more stable life. And it's going to help you improve. It's going to help you be more successful, happier. Okay, you got to overcome the discomfort and the inconvenience because there's a better world on the other side of that. So that I hope you'll do that, and let's do it together. I'm going to end the video here, but thank you so much for watching. And until my next video, please stay well and let's all change.